Hi, this is Mike J. Dubensky, YouTube Librarian. First, I'm going to practice recitation, spelled Recitaton, and then I'm going to practice meditation while wearing a virtual reality headset. Uh, I'm reading Best Technologies for Public Libraries, specifically the chapter on virtual reality. And I notice they're trying to squeeze in the Steam Index VR headset, um, which should, of course, work because there's a Steam store, but I'm not sure, according to Wikipedia, if it's been activated yet. On the other hand, um, the reference to Nintendo ended up resulting in the Chicago Public Library having Nintendo Switches available for patrons. So on page 160, staff training and responsibilities, 3 levels of staff engagement. A well-trained staff is essential for the successful adoption of VR technology into your library. To this end, we've identified 3 categories of staff interactions with the technology and the requisite knowledge needed to do so. It is important to note that these categories do not address job titles, merely responsibilities. In the absence of formal requirements, such as civil service regulations, contracts, or other restrictions, you may wish to assign responsibilities based on staff enthusiasm. One need only think about one's favorite teachers growing up. Likely, these educators loved the subject matter and conveyed their enthusiasm when sharing it to others. As you train, seek out these employees expressing excitement and determine if they can be offered a greater role in the development of programs and services. For example, I was very enthusiastic about doing great books discussion groups. If I were hired as a librarian in 2007 and the manager was able to acknowledge that yes, we have a live one here who wants to do book club discussion groups, I would have gone all around the Chicago Public Library system even and doing great books discussion groups. Of course, there's you do have to do the reading beforehand, so that, and I'm not sure if you can do that while you're working or not. But that's what they're saying, talking about in this paragraph. When someone arrives, when someone gets hired and has an enthusiasm for someone, the management team is supposed to acknowledge that enthusiasm and allow that person to move to do something with it because you can get better results in terms of from your employee that way. That's what enthusiasm means. I was enthusiastic about great books discussion groups, and if I were hired, I would have pursued that experience. While every single employee of the library is unlikely to utilize VR in their day-to-day job responsibilities, this does not exempt them from staff training. This first level training is more akin to an orientation to the technology, and more specifically, how you intend to use it at the library. Structure this training as a show and tell. Explain to staff what VR is and what specific equipment you're invested in. Demonstrate how it works. With transparency in mind, describe the potential side effects of using a VR headset. Whether or not staff members wish to try the equipment themselves, attempt to give them some insight on what it looks like to a user. In the case of a PC connected headset, you can display the experience on a monitor through a projector. For an all-in-one, more will be left to the imagination, although you could show a trailer that conveys the general idea. Depending on how many staff members you will be training, you may wish to split the instruction between the orientation and demonstration portions Though all staff can usually sit through a lecture, providing individuals with a VR experience can be time intensive. A good option is to simply have people sign up for 10-minute slots during which they can use the equipment for themselves. Mm, to be honest with you, I was in the massage industry as a YouTube librarian, and you can easily get 18 people to sign up for 3 hours worth of chair massage, or 12 people. So you probably could schedule VR experiences in 10-minute increments and get everyone to, all of your employees to sign up. So to be honest with you, that's not a bad idea. A good use of that. They probably won't give me the discount. Corporate VR events in 10-minute slots with hygiene and supervision could be a successful event. To be honest with you, I don't see why not. From a chair massage perspective, why VR wouldn't work as a corporate event in 10, 15-minute increments. So there really is a market for VR, but you would have to be found. In terms of I don't see why you couldn't do a 3-hour corporate event with 10 minutes per person. In terms of the content of their VR experience, consider using something that is low intensity and doesn't require a lot of explanation. Watching a 360 video is a good entry point. You have client intake forms, hygiene issues, supervision, question and answer, a lot of a sign-up sheet, a marketing. I'm just gonna have to be available on an as-needed basis. Watching a 360 video is a good entry point, as a user can simply put a headset on and observe, gaining an idea of how immersive VR can be. If you instead decide to provide access to a game or more active experience, you may need to first have the user go through a VR orientation experience offered by many manufacturers. VR event programs and facilitators. How would you? What would be the value of that? How would you argue that? Mm. Do you need to take a dose of that awesomeness to restore yourself? Wow factor. Corporate events. My employees just needed to increase their wow factor so that they could get back into the game. I don't know. My employees were sluggish. They didn't seem to be as motivated. VR event programmers and facilitators. Programmers are those staff members who will be using the technology with your public, and may include enthusiastic staff members that you've identified in your general VR orientation. These individuals will need to be shown how to operate the equipment in depth. This training should include how to turn on and calibrate your equipment and how to adjust the sizing of the headset. They will also need to know how to open and use the experiences you intend to offer, and some basic troubleshooting will be useful in case you encounter an issue regarding immediate attention during your program. In addition to managing the equipment, your programmers must be shown library procedure. Ensure that they understand age restrictions and your library's policies regarding content. If you're using a waiver, these staff members should be familiar with it, while some individuals may not use VR personally, they may be comfortable instructing others. You should put it all in the waiver form. Everything that you think they need to know, make sure you put it in the waiver form. Basically, your waiver form is an opportunity to express everything you need, everything that you want to express to the client, um, so that you don't not express it because you just don't feel like it. So just put it in the waiver form, so that you get it out of the way. And you'll still have hygiene issues and supervision issues. In addition to managing the equipment, your programmers must be shown library procedure. Ensure that they understand age restrictions. Like, you know exactly what it is you think they need to know. Like, I really need to know. I really need to tell them this. So put it in your waiver form, because you might not feel like telling it to them because the mood, you might be like awestruck by the corporate environment or the library, or you might have gotten more relaxed. So when you're still interested in communicating something, put it in the waiver form so that there's a record of wanting to communicate something important to the client. Like, I really think you need to know. While some individuals may know how to use VR personally, they must be comfortable instructing others. Can they relay instructions effectively and courteously? Do not ignore the customer service component of training. VR technician. The technician has the highest level of staff training. Subsequently, technicians are the smallest group of technicians. The employees are the lead staff trainer for your VR. Paradoxically, as your library's first user, they will often lack any formal training themselves. In absence of formal training, your first technician will need to be self-taught. As a first step, they should devour the owner's manual cover to cover. They may then need to rely on product forms and web tutorials to first find their way. Once familiar with equipment, your technicians will become responsible for the long-term operation of libraries. VR equipment, including advanced troubleshooting. They should immediately register and file away warranties that come with equipment to protect against potential equipment failure. Following this, they must work with library administration to develop a cleaning maintenance cycle for the equipment that complies with the manufacturer's instructions. In addition to managing the equipment itself, employees in this category are responsible for purchasing and downloading content for your VR equipment. This requires them to be familiar with the library's collection development policy, particularly if you have one specific to VR. They will need to manage storage space and keep an eye on the budget associated with your VR equipment. While the above represents a suggested assignment or responsibility, you should feel free to develop a process that works for your own organization. So you see, articulating that value proposition isn't necessarily easy. I mean, for corporate clients. A VR break could be the name of the business. VR break, yeah, it's a great name. VR break. Ultimately, you should choose an approach that allows you to effectively operate your equipment without creating a complex workflow that burdens staff unnecessarily. I kind of want to read the next one, but it's a pretty serious section. I'm going to stop at this point and we'll continue on later. The next section is pretty good. And then, oh wow, they mentioned Beat Saber on page 166 and YouTube VR on 168. And Ocean Descent at 167. Okay, so we'll take a look at that later. So I'm putting on the Pico. It says Pico G3 VR all-in-one headset over here. The logo is over here. It may stand for, but not necessarily, patient intervention comparative outcomes. Meta, on the other hand, may stand for most effective technology available. We have a C cable connection for charging. We have a power button. That's not necessarily a factory reset button. This is this is the power button right here. We may have the air processor is located. There aren't external lenses, internal lenses. This is not a battery pack, like with the Meta Quest 2. Velcro. And then what's distinctive about this particular headset is you have some backout buttons. Maybe if you're doing something naughty, you need to back out if someone shows up. But these are actually pretty cool buttons because this is in fact the controller. But let's say the battery goes out, you can press some buttons on the controller and back out of something. I don't know if you can move forward with something, but you can certainly back out at this time. This is probably, let's see. No, it's securely fastened. It's not adjustable over here. Here's the volume. And here is a headphone jack. I was watching The Idol. So we can continue watching The Idol. It does in fact say it's a Dolby Atmos, Dolby Vision production. I don't know if you should pursue it. 4K UHD. High sensor, ultra high definition. Not sure if you have to, if that'll work for some reason. Gets on my nerves. Yeah, that's exactly right. That's what I decided. Totally feels like LA to me, this movie, The Island versus Chicago or New York. I don't know if they achieved 4K Ultra HD, Dolby Atmos, Dolby Vision. So, I decided. I don't think so. Let's see. Let's concentrate. Yeah, because I might be able to hear for it. I mean, this is not much different than full HD on the PlayStation, which is 1980 by 1080. Yeah, this is 1060. Yeah. The Dolby Atmos technically works with headphones, but I do believe that at this point the G3 could deliver virtual surround sound. Yeah, but I'm going to have to concentrate. I don't think this is 4K Ultra HD or Dolby Vision. That might be Dolby Atmos. It might be what I call virtual surround sound, but they might call spatial sound. It might be virtual surround sound. It's probably not 4K. It's supposed to be 4K because this is supposed to be a Pico G3 4K. Yeah, it's supposed to be. Mm. You know why? It's kind of weird. I mean, if I bought the film, I don't know if it's through YouTube that I can get to 4K. Yeah, I decided. I'm actually so annoyed about that. Would I have to go through YouTube VR section to get to 4K? I decided if I weren't interested in the virtual surround sound, I would already be on my way over to YouTube to see if we could see a difference. You're absolutely right. I am actually interested in virtual surround sound, so I'm going to stick around for a little while. But because I don't think this is 4K Ultra HD. I decided. Now, am I not sad? Maybe in the case of this movie, it looks better this way. There's a slight grainy quality. Yeah. You in trouble? I don't know if we're done. I mean, Homo sapiens have a specific skeletal structure. This is what I decided. Well, you remember how Barbie looked? Yeah, at the movie theater. So I don't know, but I also, on the other hand, for something called the Idol, with this particular kind of aesthetic that they're trying to achieve, it might be okay. Yeah, it might be okay for this show. Yeah, cyber. I mean, a Connect is a Showtime, yeah, device for a strong finish. And, oh, I know. I thought it would be better to play it safe with a different brand. So we go to YouTube. But there's not going to be much there. We have to go. We would have to. I can't believe that. Virtual reality. And I just don't know. There's not much to select from necessarily from video. You mean to say that they put the 4K in the virtual reality? I think they put it here. So I'm kind of looking around. Alright, so let's take a look at it. What do you mean they put it over here? I mean, I'm not saying that's not good. So look at this Paris. That's VR. Yeah. So, and the thing about this, so we're like in VR. Let's say this for 4K, right? That should be. Well, like let's say for example, we go over to the aquarium, which is cute. You see, is that 4K? It could be. Yeah, they turned on the 4K. Let's see if there's a difference. But I didn't mind on the idol. No, I didn't mind it. Was there a difference now? Oh, how cute. That's supposed to because you see what it says. It says 4K. Yeah, quality. This is a 4K device, so we should be getting 4K. Yeah, I kind of see the difference. Yeah, it's less grainy. Uh, There's a cleaning guy. Okay. I'm just kind of interested in what you're doing. So I'm kind of looking at an aquarium or a coral reef in 4K. I know this because it says 4K under settings, and it could be confirmed auto 2160p 4K. But the image is very colorful, but the idol looked okay, to be honest. There are people who have aquariums in their house. Okay, I think I'm done. Okay, so thank you for watching YouTube Librarian. I read from Best Technologies for Public Libraries, Policies, Programs, and Services by Christopher D. Cristofaro and James Hutter and Nick Tanzi. I then put on the Pico G3 and watched the Max, the popular show, The Idol. And then I switched over to YouTube and put on a 4K aquarium um, production, which is looks like I'm in a coral reef somewhere. Thank you again. Today should be Thursday, July 27th, 2020.